Happy Sunday. Welcome to Give Me the Mic Live. I'm here today, your host today, Sylvester Bailey Esquire, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. So I'm excited to be here with another one of my amazing guests, somebody that I've been through the trenches with, I think I can say now, and community professor, attorney, author, Sandy Boisrond. So we'll get back after this commercial break and explore the world of somebody in that space that's making the world a better place, one student, person, human at a time.
Thank you so much for inviting me out, girl. I've been so stressed.
Girl, you're so welcome. But listen, who did your hair?
Oh, all dolled up.
What is that?
All Dolled Up is a series of stores and salons all throughout South Florida. I get my hair silked out every month. I can do that because I'm part of the Texture Club.
Girl, well, I need to get to All Dolled Up and sign up for this texture club. You look amazing.
And cheers to that.
Just like everyone, my life is jam-packed. I'm always on the move. Whether it's personal or business, I live in the fast lane. But self-care, mentally and physically, is top priority for me. That's why I'm a part of the Texture Club at my favorite salon. They always treat you like family, and that experience leaves me wanting more. So instead of worrying about my ends, treatments, and styles, my easy monthly subscription to the Texture Club solves everything. I let the pros focus on my hair so I can focus on the other things that matter in my life.
Boom, welcome back. Sandy, welcome to Give Me the Mic, where we cultivate, motivate, and inspire the community. Again, I started earlier talking about your professor, attorney, you're an advocate, an author. If someone introduced you in one sentence beyond your resume, what would you say? What would you say to them?
Wow. I would say that I'm an auntie and I'm an educator. Those are the two that stand out the most.
You said, Auntie.
Yes, I am. A super
Outstanding.
involved auntie, one of those aunties.
Okay, yeah, everybody gotta have an auntie, man. I think my auntie got was really really inspirational in me continuing my journey. She wrote my letter of recommendation for law school, so that's awesome. We everybody needs an amazing auntie. You kind of played that role for me in law school as well. I don't know if you get that a lot.
I believe a number of students look to me as if I'm an auntie or some other type of figure. So I'm fine with that. I think it fits my personality. I think it's part of why I started coming into academia. I felt like there was a need, and I knew that there was an impact that I could have in that space.
Right. So would you feel like that's your purpose?
I think it's part of my story. I still feel like I'm unraveling what my purpose is. I've been through a couple of different careers over the years. So I think
Mhm.
education has always been somewhere in the backdrop. I just don't know necessarily where I will land, ultimately speaking, before retirement. So I think
Okay.
I'm still kind of working out my story at this point.
Okay, that's awesome because they're kind of like everyone else in the world, like it's evolving. It's not static. But you talked about education, so give me the breakdown. You started in education before becoming an attorney. What inspired the
I actually
transition?
I actually started working for a nonprofit and I was doing community education early on. And I worked in the Haitian and Caribbean community in Fort Lauderdale, where I was educating families on domestic violence and child abuse issues. And ultimately, after that, I ended up working with the refugee youth population, refugees from Haiti and Cuba, who are coming here, getting a culture, accustomed to the land per se, and working with the youth. And that's where kind of the education piece started to kind of find its place. Because I immediately found myself now working with Broward County Public Schools, teaching middle school science of all things.
Wow. You know, my wife's was a math teacher. That's phenomenal.
I,
So
I feel like everybody has gone through education at some point.
yeah, I've noticed that's a recurrent theme in law. Like I'm running into a lot of post-traumatic teachers that are like, "Oh, I tried it, but I got to find out a better way." So was there a defining moment or something that happened? Or are you kind of like what was the defining moment? If you can share it with our guests, because everybody's looking for their
So
defining
the
moment. When do I make the next move?
So I made the move. I was in court one day because I worked with a nonprofit where we were providing the social services for families who were going through child abuse, domestic violence types cases, and they had a case plan. And so I was in court one day working with one of my clients because I was giving the judge the information on whether the client had satisfied their, case plan task, which was like community workshops and things like that. And I was watching the attorney that was handling the case, um, representing the state. And I just kept thinking to myself, this man doesn't speak Creole because a lot of the clients were Haitian Creole speaking clients. And I was like, well, if this man is a lawyer, I speak Creole, so I could be a lawyer. And so that was where kind of like the little spark began. That was like the first thought of, wow, I could go to law school.
Wow. Was he doing a good job, or he's one of those like, man, he's not even doing a good job. I want to get up there. I can do better. Or was it just like you don't know he can't translate?
I think the key was that he couldn't speak to his own client. And I just thought that that was just crazy. I didn't understand why the client didn't have a lawyer that could speak the language per se. Because I'm like, we're in South Florida, there's tons of Haitians here. I'm like, what's up with that? So, just thinking about the way that the attorney was representing, it wasn't a negative. It was more so, wow, like that's what an attorney does. I could do that. So
Right.
the early spark. And in fact, I never thought of law at all. If anything, education or medicine were my two thoughts when I went to college. So when
Hmm.
pre-med didn't work out because I was like, physics, calculus, not my thing, I started to really think about other options, and working for the nonprofit helped me kind of carve out a new thing for myself.
Okay. Yeah, that's another recurring theme. Like we see so many people getting into this space. My journey is similar, like as well. And you're kind of like, oh, I can do that. So my segment, I have two segments with Gimme the Mic. Thank you for allowing me to have my segments. But so I have a clubhouse combos where we do a little bit of golf, and I also do my law and order stuff to kind of chronicle those that are considering law, need inspiration in law. And so I know a lot of the people that follow me are a lot of people that are interested in law. And, a lot of them are typically different age range, they're a little bit older, more seasoned. And,
Yes.
looking back, they were like, man, I wish I could have went to law school. And some are still thinking, can I still go to law school? So when you decided, hey, maybe I can give this a shot, like what advice would you have given yourself knowing the journey that you just started to get your law school career going? Like what advice would you give your younger self?
Wow. I probably would have given my younger self advice to study some different things, like maybe study languages, study art, study history. I initially went to college looking at things like pre med and sciences, not realizing that later on I would make the change. And little did I know, going to law school, I could have majored in anything. And so I would have told my younger self to really explore and do different things and learn different languages. That would be the first thing. And the second thing is not to be afraid to apply to schools that are well outside of where I reside, right? Like, I don't need to
Hmm.
just go to school right here where I live. As a younger person, the world is your oyster. You can go anywhere. And there's schools all over the country. So I would have told myself apply to more different places because I had a great experience going to law school in Michigan. And so I wish I had thought about that earlier because it took me a while to get into law school. I went to law school at 34. So
Hmm.
I'd already had a whole good career or two, actually. So I think anyone can go to law school at any point that they want to. A lot of my classmates were older students as well, late 20s, 30s, some in their 40s and 50s, in fact. So if it's something you want to do, it is doable. It's just you got to be willing to make some sacrifices that many of us as we age are not willing to make.
Right. And that, you touched on one of my pet peeves when I hear people that say, "Hey, I wish I could do that." And I'm like, "Why?" I was definitely the oldest in my room. They called me. I was your auntie. I'm aunt. So that was the biggest one. I'm like, you could. There's really nothing stopping you. So the biggest challenge that I saw was they kind of regionalized the experience. Oh, there's 3 schools in Florida, or how many schools in Florida? 5 or so in Florida.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's hundreds of schools in the country. Look at it as a 4-year vacation if you can pull it off. And I know when we get down to the testing and the scores and the GPAs and all that and the scholarship money, you can go to Detroit, Texas, Louisiana. You can go to New York. You can go to California and get a law degree, right? Now, where you want
Yeah.
to practice and all those things would be important, but there's so many opportunities that I wasn't aware of. A lot of the people that I speak to don't look at it in that wide range to give you so many options that you can take to really get your career going. So I'm glad you touched on that. Like I would have probably in my younger self when you get a certain age, I don't think my wife would let me leave, but you got to look at a big plan, and there's a lot of options geographically that you can look into. So we're limited on time. We have 20 minutes, so I just want to touch on. So you graduate from law school, you become a barred and licensed attorney in Florida,
Yes.
and your plan was originally sounds like you were like, hey, I can help this person interpret from the community standpoint, interpret those challenges they're dealing in family, or was it family, children's services type law? But did you go into that, or what was your what do you specialize in?
So ironically, in law school, I discovered that I love trial. In fact, I was one of the mock trial winners early on in my law school career. I was on national trial team, so I thought I was going to be a criminal attorney, defense, and all that stuff. And then I made the mistake of doing the estate planning clinic, and I was hooked. And so estate
Mhm.
planning was my plan. And I decided to immediately, outside of law school, got my bar card and immediately registered my business. And I was ready for practice. And I started taking on cases. And I spent a lot of time on social media doing little short videos and live streams and educating the community on the importance of estate planning. So I just, took some little steps and that was my path. I felt like that was the way that I could do the things that I imagined myself doing early on, but just in a different topic, right? Focusing on legacy and wealth and, people making a plan for the unexpected and the expected things that happen in our lives.
Right. And you're the one that got me. And disclaimer, give me the mic family. The reason I'm in wills, trust, estate, probate work is because Professor Boisrond was like, hey, they don't have a lot of us in the wealth management legacy space. And if you've been through a passing of a family member, if you've been through, some issues after the life, you have somebody to represent you that looks like you on the other side is very, very comforting. And a lot of times we don't understand that's how wealth is also preserved by planning estate work. So I'm enjoying my journey and thank you for if you guys if I run into any problems on the estate planning side, I go to her anyway. So you can just grab her information, but still come to me first. But this is who I go to for my estate planning, wills, trust, complex problems. So, and again, you can still solve problems in law in so many different subjects. That's another thing that I'm learning now that everything that you could have done outside of law, you can do in law.
True.
Healthcare, civil rights, business, what else, whether it's sports, anything you appreciate, there's a legal component to it. I always tell my friends like lawyers kind of just make up value. We just create value.
True.
Um, so let's see. Autism advocacy. I know you're an advocate for autism. And
Yes.
I know that's deeply personal to you. Can you Like how? How'd you land there?
So my nephew is a 19-year-old adult who is autistic. He is non-speaking. He does communicate using a device. Um, and he has been a part of my life since birth. So I'm, kind of a pseudo mom in a sense, but I label myself fully as auntie. And we learned that my nephew was autistic at about age 2.5, almost 3.
Mhm.
And that began my journey of doing research on autism and in turn educating other families. Because when my nephew was diagnosed, there was very little to nothing out there. You really had to do some digging to find resources and services. And now, I mean, you could just type something up and you'll find tons of different things. But autism has become very much a business. And so you have to be really careful. So I'm very much a proponent of education, sharing as much as I can, and talking about guardianship since my nephew is the subject of a guardianship due to him becoming an adult and being unable to handle his own affairs. So that's why I do guardianship work. That's why I spend time throughout the year educating folks on the importance of understanding autism and being aware of how autism impacts the world around us. It is very prevalent. The numbers have increased drastically over the years. I remember back when it was only 1 in 20 something, and now I think it's like 1 in 50 or 1 in 60 or something like that. Like the number has gotten higher and higher.
Right.
So
Okay.
I live autism every day. We are very much a village raising my nephew in all the ways. So that is my heavy focus.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, and if you know Sandy, you know that's like Auntie is gonna be Auntie. She's gonna be where all your pictures I see is with my man, and you taking him on vacation. Y'all going on cruises. He's coming to hang
Yes,
out. So yeah, that's an awesome kind of passion project to be a part of, and it's real to you,
for sure.
right?
Yes.
Um, like, how can attorneys like me as an attorney? How can I kind of what can I do to help kind of preserve those with special needs and autistic needs, et cetera? What can I do outside of that? Can I?
So definitely going out there to educate families because planning is critical for those who have children with special needs. And it's not just the actual documents that you're preparing, but the additional things like health information, things about their activities of daily living, right? Someone who's going to care for my nephew beyond my life and my brother's life and my mom is going to have to know what his triggers are, what his behaviors are, who his
Mhm.
therapist is, all those little things and his routines because with autism, routines are clutch. If you don't understand how that child or that adult operates, you really have to be given some guidance so that you're able to maneuver and not cause them too much trauma in their day to day, especially those who are unable to communicate already. They already have a huge challenge. So, educating families, helping families with guardianship. So many folks need guardianship attorneys, and it's hard because guardianship cases are a little tricky and they require you to be the attorney of record until that person passes away, technically, right? So it's
Right.
not a lot of attorneys want to work in that realm. And so it can be tricky for families to find, especially pro bono and low bono services. So volunteering in that realm is a helpful thing. They're always looking for folks to help families who need to establish a guardianship at age 18.
Right. So a lot of times, sometimes people leave that out of their planning. That there's special needs, or there may be some special needs in the future if one of the somebody in the family becomes affected. Okay.
Correct.
Absolutely. So let's move to civility in the legal profession. You co-authored a book.
Yes.
Civility wins. And wow, guess
So
what time we're in? We don't seem very civil right now. Talk to us. Why is civility more important than ever now?
civility is something that attorneys need to maintain sanity. I can't count how many times I've dealt with an attorney that literally made me want to pull my eyelashes out. And so the book that was written by myself and my friend and colleague Kristen Goss, we wrote that at a time where we were dealing with some of the worst situations ever. I mean, I had attorneys cussing me out on the phone. I had attorneys writing me dissertations as emails to tell me about how my case is a losing case kind of thing. Attorneys being disrespectful in and out of court. I've had the whole gamut. And so in the book, I literally give you scenarios of things that have happened to me and how I reacted to those things because I had to learn to kind of check myself a little bit and not feed into the negativity because they will take you there. And so you have
Right.
to really understand your boundaries and be careful to protect your bar license because everything that you write and text and say could potentially come before a court. And so you have to really understand civility is key to you maintaining your sanity and your professionalism as an attorney and just in your life, period.
Right. I've noticed that. So we're in trial. I told you, we told you we're in trial. So we're in trial on
Yeah,
Monday. Hopefully, we get a favorable verdict, a just verdict, more importantly.
hopefully.
But I've been watching the professionalism, and I'm like, certain people get a pass, whether it's because you have a
Yes.
relationship with this person or you have a certain look. Some people get a pass, and then some people don't get a pass. Like, how do you maintain it when you see that? Like, how do you know when to push it and not push the envelope?
Look, you just have to know your boundaries to a degree. I've had judges disrespect me. I've had opposing counsel disrespect me. I've had court personnel disrespect me. And it's just really choosing your battles. There was one instance that I had with a judge where the judge was literally yelling at me. And I
Mm,
just looked over and I was like, you know, that's not what I'm here for. So, if you're saying that you're not going to rule in my favor, that's fine, but I'm not here for that, right? So, you can speak up for yourself respectfully. You don't have to engage in the back and forth. If somebody's yelling at you, you don't need to yell back, but you also don't
right.
need to be silent.
Yeah.
So you need to put things on the record and let folks know, like, I'm not to be played with. So
Right.
civility is one thing, but you don't have to be a pushover to be civil. You just need to make sure you let folks know what time it is and be mindful of your tone when you're on my phone that I pay for. Be mindful of your tone when you're speaking to me in my presence, because I'm going to be mindful of my tone when I'm speaking to you as well. So it's just really letting people know your boundaries early and frequently, and just not letting people play in your face. Like you can speak. You could always speak. It doesn't matter if it's judge, attorney, whatever. Be respectful, but let folks know what time it is.
Right. So I'm working on that. So I obviously, I'm passive aggressive, but I'm really, my personality is kind of chill. So I'm just in awe. I'm watching like they're going at each other, kind of like at each other. Is the judge going to stop it? And the judge is not stopping it. And then the judge
That
starts
that
coming
that
at
would have been me.
like, ah. So,
That
for our newbie attorneys, some of our recent grads, be prepared for conflict and civility issues. I guess I'm going to have to figure out through my journey how to temper my challenges because I can already tell
yeah.
it's going to be battles when you get into that courtroom.
For
The
sure.
to give everybody a little bit more perspective of Sandy's over our most important, I feel, program at the law school. And that's the Bar Success Program. What can you talk to us about what your role at St. Thomas University is?
So I'm an assistant professor of academic success and bar preparation. Our office literally caters to students from before they even get to the law school to the time that they are spending studying for the bar and beyond. And so we work with you when you get there to make sure that you can be successful through your 1L, 2L, and 3L year. We also work with you to make sure that you understand all that you need to be successful on the bar exam. And we make sure that you are able to actually get through the bar exam study process, literally. We are counselors, we are therapists, we are a shoulder to cry on, we're confidants, we're all those things, and we're instructors that are professors that instruct you on the different subjects of the law. And sometimes we teach some other things too, because I'm teaching law office management this summer. So,
Oh, nice. I'm going to be guest. What am I? You got me scheduled for that, right?
yes,
My
I
lo-
got you. I got you.
my office. I'm you go in the chat to get this office situated because it's bananas. Managing the business of a law firm is crazy work. Like, because
It is.
we're in trial for a whole week this week, and I really didn't get any. office productivity done during the 9 to 5 time. But we'll talk about that. So let's talk about. So we talked about bar prep. So producer Woody was asking a question prior to us starting, and he said, "What is the makeup of the law schools? You know, racial diversity, gender.
Oh,
Like, how do the law schools? How many did we let in at St. Thomas? I said my memory was, I think the biggest class we had was over 350 something students. He said, how many of those students were of African American descent or makeup? And I said it was probably maybe
so
2-3%. Like
um,
how are we there?
we're
Minority.
not going
That
to be there any we're not anywhere close, whether you're an attorney or a law student. Like we have about 450 students coming in the fall. I'm
wow.
likely going to be able to count on my two hands how many students we'll have, probably. And since I've been there 3 years now. I literally know all the students all the Black students specifically. Like I can count how many we have. Um, there's a lot of things that need to be done in terms of encouraging more enrollment of Black students in particular, driving more students to different schools, encouraging more admissions because we need more folks that are in decision making positions. Because a lot of people don't understand that everything happens based on who is making decisions. And
Right.
so I'll give you an example with me. I make it my concerted effort when I'm doing any programming to find folks that look like me because I think students need more exposure. When I got to St. Thomas, I'm sure it was a culture shock for some students because I faced some challenges because a lot of times folks will look at you and it's an assumption that you do not have the caliber of education that they have with their other professors. And I had to check many of folks early on just to let them know, look, I don't know what you think I am, but I'm not that. Whatever it is that you have pictured in your mind. And so it's bringing more people to the table that have voices, that have the experience, that have the breadth of knowledge so that it's clear that we need more, right? And I think my face has helped attract a smidgen of students. I typically attend the newly admitted students events. I typically attend the events for students who are on the fence. And I can tell you, I have a handful already that I knew when I was there at that function that I was able to say, hey, there's a face that will be here to support you when you get here. Because that's always the concern. And that's why students tend to go to other schools or they go to HBCUs. They don't see faces that look like theirs. And so, even in our faculty, it's only a couple of us, right? So it's
Right.
understandable why a student will have apprehension, but we need more exposure. We're nowhere near the numbers that I feel like we can have. We have
Right.
very bright students of all races, but we in particular have very bright Black students specifically. And I think that the more that we try to kind of have more diverse staffing, I think the more that you will attract more faces that look like yours and mine.
Right. What advice would you give a community right now? If we say we need to make more lawyers. So I'm going to be working with a pre-law program. Hopefully, Janito going to get me at a pre-law program in Fort Lauderdale High. We did our
Right.
Palermo event with Miami Carroll City High School. But what can the community? Do you think the community? Well, I think you agree. The community needs more legal representation for our community. What can the community do to ensure that we're getting that future legal representation?
Exposure. As
Right.
parents, expose your kids to different careers. There's so many people out here that are willing to provide information, come to your program, come to your church. I've been invited a gazillion times to go to a church to talk about what I do, to talk to the community about services that are needed. But I also spend some time talking to folks about, as a lawyer, like what is it that I do? I do go to schools, I go to career days, I do those types of things because if students don't see it, it doesn't register that it's an opportunity. We need to
Hmm.
be in the elementary school, middle school, high school. We need to be in these colleges and talking to students about the opportunities that lie in law. I don't think students understand what's available and what the options are with a law degree. You can teach. If you want to be a teacher, you can teach at an academic level at a law school. You can do things in the music industry, in the medical industry. Anything that you want to do, a law degree will make it that much better.
Right.
So there's options out here. We just need to put those options on the table and give more information out in the community. And it's just going to take just extra work in that realm.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna put
Correct.
that on my checklist because I'm a community guy. My mom forces that I stay in the community, we stay active, and typically wherever space I go and I attract people in there. So I got to go make a couple lawyers. It'd be great. I'm going to need some interns. I'm going to need definitely some help. So we're going to be reaching out to Academic Success to see if we got some promising available interns to come and get some real experience. I'll get them over to the state trust side and the PI side.
For
Okay,
sure.
so I know this is short, and there's so much we can cover, and we've had deeper, longer conversations than this on just a phone call. But we're going to end with lightning round questions, and these questions should be fun. I don't want you to overthink them. And one word responses. Don't think about it. First thing comes to your mind.
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee or tea? Coffee, bro. All attorneys. I'm drinking coffee right. Anyways, morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Hmm. Favorite book you've ever read?
Worse Than a Lie by Benjamin L. Crump.
I got that book. Hold on, I got that book right here.
We got to shout out Ben Crump on that book. That book was fantastic. I enjoyed listening to it on audio straight through. That thing was so good, and I hope that he continues doing that type of series.
Okay, I'll give him a memo. Maybe I have to wait. I'll text him. Favorite. Okay, lawyers. Another thing I've noticed, you guys. I'm 7 weeks in, so I'm a lawyer, but I don't feel like I'm a lawyer yet. But anyways, 7 weeks in, these people take some immaculate, nice vacations. Like they take a vacation, especially during the summertime. All I'm hearing on the court docket is, "Your Honor, I'm not available. I'm taking a vacation." What's your favorite vacation
Yeah.
spot? Favorite vacation destination?
Ooh. You know what? I had a fantastic time in France, and I think it's because I have family there. I had a fantastic time in France.
France. Okay. Purse. What's always in your purse or briefcase?
Lip gloss.
I thought you were gonna say rules of evidence. Okay.
Nah, you got the lip gloss right here.
One legal myth everyone should stop believing.
Lawyers do free consultations. Like all lawyers do free consultations. No, got money.
Got
Got to
to
pay my
go.
bills.
Spin that ish. Okay. What one thing
Yes.
people are spin that is, yeah. Okay, last one. One item still on your bucket list.
Bucket list. Touring Europe.
Hmm. And with that, thank you, Sandy Boisrond, for giving us inspiring information and cultivating the future of the legal and industry. Hair of the Spirit Inc. hosts this show. They pay for our production. And if you want to be a part of giving back to the community, Woody's going to post a link, or you'll see a link at the bottom of this video where you can donate to Hair of the Spirit, become one of our champions with a monthly subscription, and we will do the legwork and battle for you in these causes. And Professor Boisrond, I'll probably be calling you in about 15 minutes because all next week I'm doing Will's Trust work. So we will be
Wonderful.
engaged. And thank you
Nice.
guys for watching the mic.